So I'm going to get started, Dr. Whipple, if that's okay with you. And so yeah, hi guys. My name is Manhar Bajaj, and I currently work for Rajasthan Royals. And thank you so much for having me today on the ISST, cricket management page to basically talk about a couple of things we do in the IPL with Rajasthan Royals, and just in general about the sports industry and a little bit about my background. So thank you so much, Dr. Whipple, for the invite. Glad to sort of be on here and sort of add value to your students if possible. So what I'll do is I'll quickly sort of talk through my background, what I have done, and then sort of go on to the couple of different things that I'm currently doing at the Royals. So my background is cool. So yeah, so my background is essentially I didn't study sports management as such. I went to college in the United States and I worked and I studied at USC, the University of Southern California, and there was no sports major there, unfortunately. And I was a very passionate sort of person in sports. And what I did was I sort of, while there was the passion, I really wanted to see if I can sort of convert that passion into a career. So what I did was during college, I did a lot of internships. I actually minored in sports media. Like I said, there was no sports sort of management major there, but I did have a minor in sports media, which I pursued. And so, like I said, did a bunch of internships, did the sports media minor, which sort of really gave me the belief and the understanding of the sports industry and the belief that I can actually make a career out of it. So what I did was during my college days, I did a lot of classes in my sports media minor, in which I met and interacted with. We had guest speakers coming in this week, in every week. So basically, what I did was I interacted with a lot of people from different facets of the sports industry, be it sports broadcasting, be it the agency side, be it team executives, people from different kinds of, be it talent agency side, so various different sides of the sports industry. And what I soon realized is, having understood that aspect, that I really wanted to make a career in sports. So after graduation, I actually worked with a couple of different sports teams, one of which is NHL's New Jersey Devils, based in the New York area. It's an ice hockey team. So I worked there to sort of understand the inner workings of a sports team in the US. The sports sort of industry in the US is very, very mature. It's the leading sports industry in the world from anywhere in the world. And like I said, extremely mature. So a chance to sort of learn in that environment and that ecosystem was great for me. Sort of got to understand the various different facets of how a sports team sort of operates, because eventually that is the product of the industries. So I saw different sort of sides. I saw ticketing, I saw operations, I saw got to experience various different sides, marketing, and CSR and digital and different kinds. I actually worked in ticketing sales and in client servicing. So my job was basically to sort of get the fan experience in the stadium top notch, to make sure that we have returning season ticket holders and things like that. So these were sort of things that I did in the US. I moved back. I actually I'm very much like you guys, your students. I was a student not very long ago. I graduated in 2016, and then I did all this. So I moved back, at the start of 2018, and I was trying to find things to do in India and sort of explore the sports industry here. Very lucky to get an opportunity with Rajasthan Royals, and sort of jumped on it with both hands. Um, you know, and so basically, what I'm going to now do is sort of talk about what my role at Rajasthan Royals is a little bit, and the different facets that I'm currently working in. So obviously, I sort of lead our ticketing vertical, which is one of the revenue verticals of the company. I also work in cricket operations, and I've also sort of worn various different hats in the organization. I've sort of worked in the digital team, as well as sort of head our youth cricket for a while, which was great, and got that up off the ground. So when I talk about cricket operations, there are so many different things that sort of go in what I'd like to call cricket operations. One thing is player liaison. So I think something that is very important for us at the Rajasthan Royals is that to sort of maintain that family feeling, maintain a family bond with all the players. It's not just a team. It's a family. You'll obviously want to play much harder and much more for your family than you'd be for any other team. So that's the kind of atmosphere that we create for our players and our management and everyone else. Everyone is the same. From the international stars to the Indian boys, everyone is at the same level, and that's how we sort of keep it, which is great. So player liaison is basically obviously looking after everything the players need. Obviously, the players are with us in the IPL team for 2.5 months of the year, but the rest of the time they're with the domestic teams, they're with the international teams, and various maybe playing in various different leagues across the world. So basically, sort of taking care and making sure that they are okay and they don't need anything, and sort of keeping that Royals bond and that connect going with them throughout the year. Obviously, tracking their performances to see how they are doing and things like that. Also, obviously, getting to know what media activations that they need to do, what cricketing, things that they need to do from a digital standpoint. What do we need from a content creation side, and sort of deliver that for the team. So various different sides of player liaison. Another important aspect of cricket operations is obviously the cricket camps that we do with our players and the trials and the auction. So what I'll do is I'll quickly talk about the player camps. As we know, like I said, the players are with us only 2.5 months of the year. But how do we sort of keep that connect going? Obviously, one way is, like I already explained to you. Another way is obviously hosting cricket camps. We try and do about 2 to 3 off-season training camps for our players. We have a great facility in Nagpur that we have with a full ground and everything. And so that sort of training facility is open for our players year round for them to come and train in. Besides that, what we also do is that we sort of get these, like I said, get these players in for the trials, and that's what get these players in for the camp. Sorry, for about 2 to 3 times in the year, and we sort of whatever they need at that point, keep them. At the end of the day, we have to understand that in IPL, the players, we have retention, we have release, we have the option. So not all players are going to be there, full year. They're going to be new players coming into the team. So, to get that sort of family bond going, to get that gelling the team going, so that when the IPL comes around, everyone is sort of on the same page, everyone is sort of getting along, and things like that. So that obviously is something that we do at the camps when we get the players. And I'm very happy to say that we recently had a camp right before COVID actually happened. And that's where we feel that we are we have the advantage over the other teams, because we gotten in a camp around Feb end, and we had about 16 out of our 17 Indian players that attended. Obviously, it's very hard for the international players to attend the camps due to the schedule that they have. But the domestic players, almost all of them attended, and we have about 200 hours of footage, which sort of during this time, which is the coronavirus time and everyone's lockdown, we can actually use to sort of engage and entertain our fans. Even though IPL is currently suspended, we still have so much content that we can push out to our fans and engage from a digital standpoint. So I think that's very, very key and very important. Another thing that we do, obviously, is the auction process. As soon as the IPL gets over, we have a great sort of data analytics hub in Chennai, where analysts are sort of reviewing players all across the world, all the matches, full year round. And obviously, we get a bunch of these guys who we like in for trials towards the auction. And what we do is we sort of see where they're at, how they're playing, and obviously get our sort of cricket coaching staff and everyone to sort of see them. And obviously, it is putting a lot of pressure on them, because they come all the way to Nagpur, and they get to sort of play 2 overs and sort of deliver in those 2 overs and put that pressure on them. But I think that's the kind of stuff that is needed, because that's what you're going to face in the IPL, in the pressurized environment. So if they can perform there, it sort of makes our coaching staff feel much more at ease about sort of selecting them in the auction. So we have this trials process. We had about 50 players in the trials that came out this time, which was sort of great for us. And obviously then we move on to the auction process, which I'm not completely involved in, but it's something that's super interesting, and it's super exciting from that standpoint. So that's basically obviously talking about one aspect of cricket operations. Another thing is, we are a very data-driven and data-focused organization. We really want to see what data is out there, what technology is out there, what kind of innovation is out there, and that's what we do essentially. We basically are on the lookout for new innovation, and so we use Catapult, which is again a player wearing, player wearing technology that we use, wearable player technology that we use to track their performances. And we also use technologies like straight bat, where basically we can sort of look at the data of players batting and with a sensor on their bats, which is really cool, very interesting. We use all these different kind of things in training to sort of use the data and try and understand it to sort of better performances of our players. So that's basically the cricket operations side of things. And let me just see if there are any questions, and then I'll sort of move on. And I see Faisal, who's asked a very interesting question, saying, what is the most challenging thing about your profession? I think right now is something which is pretty challenging for us. Obviously, we worked very hard for 6-7 months to sort of prepare for the IPL, and obviously right now it is suspended. So it's a little sort of hard to take, but I think that's it sort of gives you the opportunity to sort of innovate, create, and how can we sort of engage our fans in that sense during this time, and how can we make the best out of this situation. So I think that's challenging. Another thing what I'm going to get into right after this is the stadium operations side, which is, I feel, very, very challenging. I think in a recent webinar, our CEO, Jay Klashmikram, actually commented saying that I think you get more experience in 2 months of the IPL than you probably get in any other job in, say, for around a year, which is why working in the sports industry is sort of so key from that aspect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of move on to the stadium operation side. I'll answer some of the other questions, but I'll move on to the stadium operation side and sort of take you through what sort of goes on from a stadium operation standpoint. So obviously, from a business standpoint, we have to obviously start preparing from, say, for example, June, July onwards. We're starting our sponsorships, our partnerships, looking at different kind of things from marketing standpoint, et cetera, et cetera. Obviously, digital is year round, but the stadium operation side, we start sort of discussing and getting our stadium ready from about 3 to 4 to 5 months in advance, because these stadiums are not at full capacity more than 7 to 8 times in the year. They're only at full capacity when IPL comes around, and so because of that, there's a lot of infrastructure work that's needed to be done in these stadiums. So obviously we start long out. In order to get the full operations done, we actually start out and work with an operations partner. For example, last year we worked with an operations partner out of Jaipur, great company that we worked with last year, and so that we started working around about 2.5 months in advance, and it actually takes, to get the stadium up and running, it actually takes about a team of 50 to 60 people working tirelessly 24 hours a day to get the stadium up and running. What are the different processes and facets that are involved in stadium operations? There are very many. It goes from the smallest of details to the biggest of details, and we have to do all of these things and all of these facets very, very carefully to make sure that the fan experience is not spoiled. The fans don't get to know anything that is happening behind the scenes. So obviously we have entertainment, we have food and beverage, we have concessions, hospitality, parking, branding, obviously working with the police. So in entertainment, for example, if just to give you, in a nutshell, entertainment obviously has everything to do with how we sort of entertaining our fans. We're looking at the entertainment stage, we're looking at the cheerleaders, we're looking at what sound systems we're using inside the stadium to sort of make sure that the atmosphere in the stadium is top notch, and things like that. And so that's from an entertainment standpoint. From a food and beverage and concession standpoint, obviously, what are the caterers we're using for the different areas in a stadium? We obviously have hospitality, we have general seating, we have different types of hospitality. So looking at the different kind of things from that standpoint. It also sort of involves, like I said, hospitality, getting the whole infrastructure and design of hospitality ready. Like I said, a lot of these stadiums are not hosting full-fledged games more than 7 to 8 times, and the majority of that is the IPL. So you have to look at, a little bit upgrade, a little bit design work. How can we make sure that the experience that we're providing to the fans when they come inside the stadium is absolutely top-notch? A lot of that goes behind that. A lot of work goes behind that. We're looking at branding. Believe it or not, there's about 1 lakh square feet of branding that goes around the entire Zawai Man Singh Stadium in Jaipur, which is pretty insane if you think about it. Another thing, what I'm going to sort of just quickly talk about is obviously working with the police, working obviously with the security to make sure everything is in place. Everything goes smoothly. The different departments of the government, the fire brigade, the police, everything from that standpoint. So that everything is well taken care of, and that the stadium is safe, the stadium is secure, the stadium is ready to host an IPL game. All these different types of things I spoke about: food and beverage, entertainment, hospitality, branding. Everything has to come together to make sure that we're ready for match day one. When the day comes. Vipul has asked what sort of all roles do you identify with in the process of stadium operations? Like I said, we have obviously operations managers, we have hospitality managers, we have people who are sort of looking after the security. All these things I spoke about are managed by people, and obviously we've got a big infrastructure in place in the back end to sort of support that. So we have, like I said, we have a team of about 50 to 60 people that work on the stadium itself. And we have great operations partners in Jaipur who we work with, and so they sort of assist with that. I think so. Sunil has asked the question: how do you handle different mindsets of all the players? I'm not the most qualified to sort of answer that, in all honesty. But like you said, there are so many players on national, international stage. But at the end of the day, and which is what I was going, and I'll go back to the family feel that we create within the Royals, and with all the players, every player has a voice. Every player can sort of speak up and speak their mind, and it's all a safe zone. Everyone has their own opinion, and everyone is open to share that. And we do so many different things that everyone sort of gets together as one team. You don't see the international guys separately and the Indian guys separately. Everyone is together. Everyone is sort of chilling together all the time. Everyone is working hard together. The international guys obviously helping a lot of the young Indian guys. So I know a lot of the youngsters sort of really look forward to getting that sort of mentorship from people like Ben Stokes or Steve Smith. These guys are the best in the business, and what they do. So that kind of team camaraderie is very important, and that's how we sort of we do that. I'm going to sort of move on now from obviously stadium operations onto the ticketing bit, and obviously that's something that I work on, and I'm going to speak about the entire process that is involved. It's pretty simple. It's not rocket science, but it's not that simple, but it's great to sort of have and do. So from a ticketing standpoint, what we start about 3 to 4 months out, and we sort of evaluate all the different sort of agencies that are in the market. We also have to work with our ticketing partners. We obviously negotiate, sit down, discuss what sort of contracts we're going to sign with those partners involving revenue, and we sort of work with, say, for example, Book My Show or a Paytm or an Events Now, and there's many different sort of agencies that are in the cricket space currently. And so we sort of work with one of them to sort of deliver high-class product and deliver those tickets to our fans and make them, assist with ticket sales. So what we do is obviously we get our ticketing partner on board. Then is something that we do is we get our ticketing manifest in order. Our ticketing manifest is the most important document, in my opinion, from a stadium perspective for tickets. Obviously, a ticketing manifest is a master document that basically includes all the different sort of sections you're going to have in the stadium. What section is hospitality? What section is what sort of section? What is the capacity of each section? How many tickets are we selling from each of those sections? How many are we giving complimentaries? What are the prices? What the ticket prices are for those? And ticket prices, there's a lot of sort of research that goes behind. We do a lot of market research. We look at the previous trends to see how to price our tickets and things like that. So the ticketing manifest sort of becomes your master document that each sort of stadium has. And based on that, we sort of go around, deciding our complimentaries and, like I said, our hospitality areas, the general stands, etc., etc. I think Vipul asked a very, very interesting question. Is there any specific experience you'd like to share from the stadium? I think every day from a stadium standpoint is a new challenge. It's very, very, very different from anything else that you experience. The IPL, obviously the biggest sort of sports league in India. You have thousands of people coming in every match day. Like I know at the SMS last year, our sitting capacity is 23,500. We had, so that's a large number of people coming in. So we obviously have to sort of equip for that. So even from a ticket standpoint, we have to make sure how many people are coming in from each of the gates, or coordinate with the operations team to make sure, from all the gates that are coming in, we have enough ticket checkers there, we have enough ushers there, we have enough turnstiles there to make sure the security is taken care of and everyone is coming in and out of the stadium in a smooth, secure way. So there are different kinds of challenges that you face every single day when you're working in the IPL, especially on an operation standpoint. It's how you sort of deal with that, and it teaches you a lot. I wouldn't say there is any specific experience, but I think every day is a new challenge, every day is a new experience, and in that. So I think I've got a question like, how do you handle power failures? Very interesting question. I think we luckily have never had any power failures or such that have happened. And we obviously have generators and we have backup generators and everything is taken care of. So we never really face the issue. There's a backup plan to every plan that we have. And so yeah, so like I was talking about tickets, obviously, like I said, I was talking about the ticketing manifest. There's a new challenge that we faced this year, which is obviously we were about to play 2 matches in Guwahati, which is a very, very interesting proposition for us to take cricket to the Northeast, to take the IPL, sorry, to the Northeast. And that's something that we were super excited about. Unfortunately, the IPLs right now currently got postponed, but we're very excited to sort of play in Guwahati as well and take IPL to the fans there. And that sort of threw a very interesting challenge at us because Guwahati had never hosted an IPL match before, and they hosted about 3 to 4 international matches. So obviously making the manifest for that and looking at the seats, looking at the entire stadium, the different areas of the stadium, what hospitality, what general tickets, what the pricing of that would be, was a very interesting challenge and something that it was great from a ticketing standpoint to do. So obviously, once we have everything in place, once we start selling tickets, the marketing of ticket becomes very important. And how are we marketing tickets? How are we ensuring that we're sort of selling out our stadium every game, every year? How are we sort of getting those fans who have come to our stadium, coming back and buying sort of those tickets, higher value tickets, etc., etc. So basically, do a lot of marketing. We do marketing from a digital standpoint. Obviously, looking at digital ads. We're looking at obviously banners. We're looking at website presence on our partner's website or our website, selling the tickets through the apps, etc., etc. We are also looking at the traditional marketing route. All your ATL, BTL. You have obviously your radio ads. You have your hoardings. You have your newspaper ads and things like that. And obviously, like going back to digital, you're also spending a little bit to sort of get those ads across to people and make sure people are well aware that the IPL is happening and people are coming in. So yeah. So that's basically ticketing in a nutshell. I'm going to respond to a question that I got. Have you ever faced ticket forgery? I've worked with the Royals for 2 years now, and in last year's IPL, we didn't face any issues of any ticket forgery at all. The partners that we worked with sort of had proprietary paper that we use. They use proprietary paper, so you can actually not forge that. So you can very easily tell if a ticket is sort of forged or not. But yeah, we never faced those issues at all. So yeah, that's basically what I do from a cricket ops and from a ticketing and from a stadium ops perspective. Happy to sort of answer any other questions. How do you manage the VIP requirement hassles? Very interesting question, Sunil. Thank you so much. Yeah, there is some hassles, but it's not too bad because obviously we have X amount of complimentary tickets that we give out, and those are pretty fixed. And we obviously have our sort of contractual obligation that we have to give to our sponsors, to our partners, obviously for BCCI, for their sponsors and their guests, as well as the state association, who obviously so graciously help us out with all the operations from an operation standpoint. So we don't face too many VIP passes hassles as such. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's a good question. Do you compare ticket prices with other teams? Yes, we do look at prices of other teams, but we have to understand that every market is different. We do our research and the ticket trends that we do for our stadium. They're very different from what they'll be somewhere else. Like a Mumbai ticket prices or a Delhi or a Bangalore ticket prices will be much different from Rajasthan Royals ticket prices, especially because you're in Jaipur and you're playing in a different market. So you also have to see what the fans can actually afford. In a metropolitan city like Mumbai, fans might be able to afford a little bit higher amount of tickets and a little bit more. They'll be able to pay a little bit more for those tickets, which is fair enough. That's just how the dynamic is, and you sort of have to work with that. what we do use, and that's what something that another lot of teams have now started. We actually did that last year as well. Is doing dynamic pricing. So dynamic pricing is very similar to what you have with airlines, and so basically, depending on demand supply, the prices of the tickets will go up a little bit, say about 10, 20, 30 rupees, and sort of they keep going up as the demand increases for these tickets. So that's something that we also do from a ticketing standpoint, which is very interesting from a data and from a data standpoint. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So I think Dr. Vipul had asked the question, what kind of softwares do you use? So like I touched on before, that we used, so yeah, so we use a lot of technology, like I told you, in cricket. We use Catapult, which is a variable technology for players, where we can track the player performances, how well they're doing from a performance standpoint, their loads, and basically see where they are in the performance, so that if we don't need to push them more, if we need to push them more, sort of our physiotherapists and our experts can sort of take that call and discuss data with the players. And when you have this kind of data on each athlete, it sort of allows our physiotherapists and our experts and our coaches to have a much deeper conversation with those players about their bodies, about their fitness, and how things are. So that's something that we use extensively, and we've had a great success with that. What kind of technologies do we have in the stadium? Very interesting question, Vipul. What we've done with technology in the stadium is, obviously we have our what we're doing is we're using RFIDs on the bands. So basically, if someone is coming and they want to eat food, they have to sort of buzz. So that's to sort of ensure that our sort of food capacity is taken care of, and like we only have people who are ticketed who are going to be eating from that standpoint, because sometimes we face issues that maybe someone's gotten in without a ticket. Normally doesn't happen, but there are chances. So we started using RFIDs in the stadium, which we'll be using as well for this year, which is interesting. And we'll be using QR codes as well, so on those hospitality bands. So that's something that we'll be using in the stadiums. Biller asked the question, does your stadium have solar power? I'm not exactly aware. I don't believe so. I don't believe we have sort of solar power right now, but that's way of the future. So we love to sort of explore that. So very interesting question from Tanvi. How many days prior to the IPL season does your team start working? So we sort of, in different sort of areas of the business, you have to start accordingly. Most of the stuff we start year round. So from a cricket operations standpoint, like I said, as soon as the IPL is over, we start preparing for the next IPL. The team of analysts sort of looking at all the players and all the matches going on across the world. From a marketing and sponsorship perspective, we sort of start in June, July, and sort of ensure that our sort of sponsors for the next year sort of signed early, so that we can sort of give them enough mileage before the IPL in a couple of months, 3 to 4 to 5 months. We can give them enough mileage through our camps, through our different sort of things that we're doing in the lead up to the IPL, which is very important to give our sponsors that mileage, especially on digital and doing the other things that we do with our sponsors. So we sort of try and close all our sponsors, say by a couple of months before the IPL, so that we can activate them properly and be fair to them. In terms of operations, we start, like, this infrastructure work in the stadium obviously starts months in advance, but probably getting the stadium up and running is probably 2.5 months. Is when our proper operations team gets on and sort of works. That's a probably 3-month thing that we do. And yeah, we're basically working year round. We also have a bunch of academies and grassroots youth cricket initiatives that we do in Rajasthan, and we're opening up academies as we speak, and we're going to be opening up future academies. So a lot of work is sort of going on that, as well as we're exploring new ventures as well. So yeah, so we're basically working pretty much year round, but specifically for the IPL, from a stadium operations standpoint, 3 months, and the other stuff, all the rest of the business is full year round. How does a fresh graduate get to work for an IPL team? I think I can't stress this enough. I think it's great that that whoever is you guys are studying at ISST Pune and getting those sports management courses in, but I can't stress enough how very important experience is. As a fresh graduate, you should just try and get your foot in the door with any sports right now, because sports is it's a nascent industry in India, but it's growing massively. Obviously, you have so many leagues that have popped up in the last couple of years. Kabaddi is doing extremely well. Obviously, you have the ISL. We have so many different table tennis. We have so many different sort of tennis, and so many leagues that are starting up besides the IPL. So there's obviously a lot of work that you can do to sort of get in the sports industry. And so yeah, so I think from a fresh graduate standpoint, just get your foot in the door, just work, get those internships in, and just network. I can't stress enough how important networking is. Yes, Tanvi, thank you so much for your question. Apart from the IPL, RR has grassroots development programs. We do. We have a youth boys and a youth girls team. We're the first sort of IPL team to have actually started a youth girls program, which we started, about last year towards the end of 2018. We started a girls and a boys youth team. And so that's been something that we've been working on, developing our players in that sort of youth system. And so yeah, very, very happy to say that, obviously a couple of our, girls from our youth team have gone on to play for the Rajasthan team. One of our coaches actually got selected, Ravi Bishnoi. He played in the Under-19 World Cups, got selected with Kings 11 Punjab. So we're sort of trying to contribute to Indian cricket in general, because the IPL is such that, yes, we might develop certain players, but we might not be able to buy them in the auction, because that's just how the dynamic is. But we want to sort of contribute towards Indian cricket in general. And from that standpoint, having these grassroots programs is very important. We're also starting academies, like I said, and we sort of have a bunch of academies in the pipeline in India. We already have an academy in the UK, and we have one in India right now, and we're sort of opening more as we speak. Biller has asked a very interesting cricket question: is the pitch different from other matches? The pitches are decided by the BCCI. The teams have nothing to do with it. So yeah, that's all that I'll say. From any tips for future graduates in sports management? I think like I said, again, going back, I think the most important tip is it's very important to get experience. Working in the sports industry, the kind of experience that you get if you're working in the trenches, like I said, in the IPL, something that you do in 2 months of the IPL will teach you more than what you probably do in any other job in 1 year. So any tips would be just get your foot in the door, just work, and just try and get that networking going, and try and network, and try and get your foot in the door essentially, and work your way up. That's the best thing to do. So yeah, that is basically it. Anyways, it's been sort of great to sort of be on here today, and thank you so much for having me, Dr. Vipul, and the ISST students. Great to sort of be on and talk to you guys about the IPL. Hopefully some of the things that I said were helpful. Like I said, I was a student not very long ago in 2016, and yeah, so I've been in those shoes very, very recently, and sort of built my career up steadily and slowly over the last couple of years. So thank you so much for having me, and happy to sort of answer any questions for students and sort of network with them if they need to via LinkedIn. And yeah, hopefully this was helpful and this was sort of insightful for you guys. Sunil, that's a very interesting question right before I go. Does the pink stay this year too? Yeah, man, we made the switch to pink last year. Obviously, the pink was very loved in 2018 in our Cancel Out match that we did. We take our social impact and our CSR very seriously, and we do that with women's empowerment now. And so yeah, so pink stayed in 2018, and then we got it the proper color in 2019. So yeah, pink definitely stayed, and yeah, think pink and wear pink. I'd love to answer Willer's question about the pink ball used for the white ball, but I'm not qualified enough to answer that. Yeah, so I wish I could. I work on the business side of things, so I'm not a cricket expert from any imagination. So I'll leave that to the coaches and the experts and the commentators to sort of talk about. Anyways, thank you so much for having me. Hopefully this was helpful, and hopefully the students can sort of take some good insights, and yeah, just get your foot in the door and just make it happen. And thank you so much to everyone who asked the questions, and yeah, cheers. Thanks.